Under the calm Los Angeles night, after a busy day of meetings, SUGA chose to remain within the city area, not far from where his earlier appointment had taken place. And as the cool air mixed with the glow of city lights, the pace of his evening became slower and more relaxed, since the main agenda had already been completed, though he still made use of the hours ahead to unwind and maintain a sense of structure with his small team that accompanied him on this trip, where they decided to head to a contemporary restaurant offering a blend of Asian and American cuisine, a common choice for Korean artists traveling abroad who often seek familiar flavors presented with local twists. SUGA sat quietly at a discreet corner table with two close staff members who were responsible for logistical coordination, and the dinner unfolded in a simple manner, consisting mostly of light discussion about the outcomes of the afternoon meeting, potential follow-ups with the entrepreneur, and some general notes regarding schedules, all while enjoying carefully plated dishes in a space that was neither too crowded nor too empty, providing a peaceful setting that allowed him to eat without much public attention, although a few diners seemed to recognize him, yet chose to respect his privacy by keeping their distance, a scene that has become increasingly common when global artists step out of the spotlight and attempt to live ordinary moments. After dinner, the small group returned to the hotel where SUGA was staying, a 5-star property located strategically near the heart of the city, offering comfort and privacy for high-profile guests. And upon arrival, he moved calmly through the main lobby, wearing a light black jacket to remain low-key, while hotel staff accustomed to famous visitors carried out their duties professionally without drawing unnecessary attention. Before he entered the elevator with his team and headed to the secured floor prepared for him. The night held no further official events, leaving him with space to rest, review documents on his laptop, and quietly keep up with work related both to music and to the broader responsibilities that follow a career like his, as his creative habits rarely paused, even when traveling, a reflection of the consistency he has maintained as a producer and musician who prefers to spend time productively. Beyond the hotel, Los Angeles traffic continued with its characteristic energy under the bright streetlights, yet inside his room, the atmosphere was quiet, controlled, and conducive to reflection after a day of concentrated activity, drawing a contrast between the noise of the city and the stillness he found in private. And for fans who later heard about this evening, the image that emerged was not one of spectacle, but of a grounded artist balancing high-level professional commitments with the ordinary human needs to eat, rest, and calmly prepare for what comes next. After completing the afternoon meeting and settling into the rhythm of the evening, SUGA's presence in Los Angeles continued to attract attention, even if his actions remained discreet and carefully managed, because the narrative around him was no longer limited to music performances, but extended into the realm of professional strategy, where an artist of his stature sought to strengthen international connections. And while his day had already been filled with significant engagement, the hours following dinner provided a chance to observe how he balanced a demanding career with the quieter, more personal side of life, since his return to the hotel marked a natural transition from public spaces into the privacy that global celebrities require to function properly during busy schedules. He arrived back at the hotel lobby, where a few guests casually passed through, most of them not realizing who he was, while others who recognized him quietly whispered among themselves, yet refrained from approaching, demonstrating how his presence was both familiar and distant at the same time, a reflection of how fame operates differently in cities like Los Angeles, where encounters with well-known personalities are not uncommon. And once he entered the elevator with his team, he was effectively shielded from the outside world, stepping into an environment designed to give him both comfort and concentration. Inside the hotel suite, SUGA's routine was not dramatically different from that of any professional traveler, as he organized the documents received earlier, reviewed notes left by his team, and coordinated electronically with contacts in Korea, displaying how technology enables continuous collaboration regardless of geography, while at the same time he allowed moments of rest to punctuate the night with simplicity, perhaps watching television briefly or listening to music that had no direct connection to work. Gestures that humanize a global icon by showing his need for ordinary activities in order to sustain a high-pressure career.
Throughout these hours, his team members alternated between handling correspondence and checking logistical details for the following day, ensuring that the framework of his trip ran smoothly without unnecessary obstacles. And the image that formed was one of quiet professionalism, where nothing appeared theatrical or extraordinary, yet everything contributed to the steady flow of a life lived on an international stage, where every decision, however small, plays a role in shaping the larger trajectory. From outside perspectives, reports about this phase of his visit framed SUGA as a figure who seamlessly merged artistry with foresight, using opportunities like the meeting with the American entrepreneur to explore broader horizons while simultaneously demonstrating that such moves are made with measured calm, not spectacle. And this became a point of interest for entertainment media, which chronicled not only the glamour of celebrity appearances, but also the less visible, methodical aspects of global stardom that fans rarely witness directly. As the night progressed and the city outside continued its rhythm of lights and movement, SUGA's schedule gradually slowed until rest took priority, showing that even for someone who constantly inhabits stages and recording studios, the foundation of balance lies in ordinary practices like sleeping on time, maintaining health, and reserving energy for whatever comes next. And when the lights of his suite finally dimmed, Los Angeles carried on outside without pause, leaving behind the impression of a day completed not with spectacle, but with purpose, ending on a note that was calm, organized, and fully aligned with the grounded approach that has consistently characterized his career. The following morning in Los Angeles unfolded with the same sense of structure that had defined SUGA's previous day, beginning quietly in his hotel suite, where he made time for a simple breakfast arranged by the hotel staff, consisting of light and healthy options that suited both his routine and the need to keep his energy steady throughout the day. And as the early sunlight streamed through the large windows overlooking the city, the atmosphere created a calm yet purposeful start, allowing him to center himself before engaging with another set of responsibilities. Because although his official meeting with the American entrepreneur had been completed the day before, there remained smaller follow-up tasks and informal interactions that often accompany such important engagements. After finishing breakfast, SUGA spent a period working at the desk in his suite, reviewing emails and confirming details with his team, while also listening to brief updates from contacts in Korea, highlighting how his schedule often exists across multiple time zones. And this blending of responsibilities illustrated the layered reality of a global artist who was at once a musician, a producer, and a figure with professional interest extending beyond performance, requiring him to allocate attention carefully to each role. Later in the morning, he left the hotel accompanied by his staff to move toward another venue within the city where an informal lunch had been arranged with a small circle of professionals, not an official negotiation, but more of a networking opportunity. And the setting was far less formal than the business district meeting of the previous day, taking place instead at a casual restaurant with a relaxed atmosphere where discussions could unfold without the pressure of contracts or formalities, allowing ideas to surface naturally as conversations about creative industries, cross-cultural collaboration, and the role of digital platforms shaped the exchanges at the table. SUGA's demeanor remained calm and measured, contributing to the dialogue without dominating it, demonstrating the attentive listening skills that colleagues and collaborators have often praised. And while the gathering lasted only a little over an hour, it was enough to reinforce his image as someone who thoughtfully invests in connections rather than treating them as fleeting encounters, which is a quality increasingly valued in international networks. After leaving the lunch venue, the afternoon was spent with a quieter pace, returning briefly to the hotel before heading out again for a short walk with his team through a less crowded neighborhood, where he could observe the local environment without being surrounded by constant attention. And though a few passers-by recognized him, the interactions were minimal and respectful, letting him enjoy the simple experience of being outdoors in a foreign city without the overwhelming presence of crowds. Later in the day, SUGA allowed himself time to rest once more at the hotel, reflecting a balanced approach to travel where intense periods of work are matched with intentional downtime. And as evening approached, he met briefly with his staff in the hotel lounge to review the outcomes of the trip so far, considering whether any immediate follow-up actions needed to be scheduled before his eventual return to Korea. The night ended with another calm routine, a quiet dinner within the hotel property, and some additional review of creative material he carried with him, continuing the pattern of integrating professional focus with personal care. And as he eventually retreated once again into the privacy of his suite, the image of the day became clear. It was a sequence of measured steps that emphasized both connection and composure, a reflection of how SUGA navigates life as an international artist, not through dramatic gestures, but through steady, deliberate actions that allow him to expand his reach while staying grounded in his own rhythm.
As the Los Angeles trip reached its final phase, SUGA's schedule on the last day maintained a tone of balance between professional obligation and personal rhythm, beginning with a late morning start that reflected the quieter pace after several days of structured activity. And he took time to enjoy breakfast in his suite while reviewing a set of notes prepared by his team, ensuring that every point from the earlier meetings was properly documented and ready to be followed up once he returned to Korea. Since the purpose of such trips is rarely about immediate outcomes, but rather about building the groundwork for sustained collaboration, and this aspect of planning was something he valued greatly, showing how his approach to opportunities is cautious yet steady, preferring depth over speed. Once the initial tasks of the morning were completed, he prepared to leave the hotel for a brief visit to a local studio space where he had been invited to see facilities and meet a small group of professionals in the creative field, a visit that was not part of the original itinerary, but had been arranged at the suggestion of his contacts in Los Angeles. And the encounter unfolded in a modest setting, with a handful of producers and technicians showing their ongoing projects, offering insight into the local creative environment. And while the session was short, it provided an additional layer of perspective that could inform his thinking about future possibilities. After leaving the studio, the afternoon was reserved for rest and preparation, as his departure from Los Angeles was scheduled for later that night. And during this time, he remained mostly within the hotel, alternating between organizing his personal belongings and spending moments with his staff to review the overall trip, making sure that logistical details were clear, travel documents ready, and follow-up communications drafted to maintain the momentum of the connections he had just established, all of which demonstrated the structured discipline behind what might appear outwardly as a simple journey. As evening fell, SUGA and his team arranged for an early dinner at the hotel restaurant, choosing convenience over exploration given the travel ahead. And the meal was modest yet comfortable, serving as both nourishment and a final shared moment before the intensity of transit resumed, with the team speaking quietly among themselves while SUGA remained composed, taking in the final hours in the city with a calm demeanor that suggested satisfaction with the way the visit had unfolded. When the time came to leave, the group moved discreetly through the hotel lobby and into the waiting car that transported them to Los Angeles International Airport, where standard procedures awaited, from check-in to security to the waiting area prior to boarding. And though the airport environment was naturally busier and louder than the controlled privacy of the hotel, SUGA navigated it with practiced ease, moving with the assistance of his team and drawing only occasional glances from travelers who might have recognized him but refrained from approaching due to the practicalities of the setting. Once aboard the flight, the tone of the journey shifted to quiet once again, the cabin providing the stillness required for long travel, and as the aircraft prepared to depart, SUGA settled into his seat with the kind of composure that has become his hallmark, likely spending part of the flight reviewing material on his laptop, or simply resting to recover energy before resuming activity upon arrival, a reminder that international trips for artists at his level are not spectacles, but sequences of carefully managed steps, where each element serves a broader purpose without unnecessary dramatization. By the time the plane ascended into the night sky, the Los Angeles city lights grew smaller in the distance, and the impression left behind was of a visit that had blended professionalism, foresight, and grounded humanity, marking another chapter in SUGA's evolving journey as an artist who continues to navigate the intersection of creativity and global connection with steadiness and clarity, closing the trip not with extravagance, but with the quiet assurance of work completed and new possibilities prepared for the future.